Radio show.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in to the 25th Hour Radio Show. I am your host, Rob Fairless, and on the phone with me today is professional harmonica player Mickey Raphael. Mickey, thanks for taking time out of your afternoon to join me on the show.
Thank you for having me. That's you're very generous calling me a professional.
Oh, you know it. You know it. So, Mickey, man, I guess the obvious first question would be to ask you when you first got introduced to the harmonica, and what was it about the sound of that instrument that made you want to learn how to play it yourself?
Well, I heard a guy. Well, I guess when I was a kid, a friend of my dad's gave me a harmonica, and I was, I love music. I was a terrible guitar player, which I was kind of struggling with, and I'd had this harmonica, and I heard a guy named Donnie Brooks play in a little club in Dallas where I grew up, and just hearing him play and hearing that instrument just blew me away, and so I really kind of concentrated on the harmonica when I was a teenager.
Now, I mean, back in our day, there was no YouTube to get free online lessons. Are you completely self-taught, or did you have a mentor or teacher?
Well, Donnie, who ended up going on to play with Waylon, was a mentor of mine. I mean, he was the first guy that when I met him actually sat me down and showed me a few licks on the harp. But it's something you really have to learn. You have to teach yourself.
So did your musical career progress pretty much like everyone else's who's made it to the top, quote unquote? Did you start off by joining a band from your hometown area and get your feet wet that way?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, I started with B.W. Stevenson, who was a local Dallas boy, and, started playing with him, and then met Willie along the way, and, things just progressed. When I was with Willie, he was known as a writer, but he didn't have a lot of success, as the superstar, the icon that he is now.
Now, did you have any type of stage fright in those early years? I mean, you do have to learn to play your instrument and play it in front of people. That's two different skills right there.
Yeah. I don't know if it was really stage fright. I mean, it's scarier to play in front of a small crowd than it is a big crowd. So, there was a little learning curve to playing,
Sure. Yeah, man. Of course. So from what you've told me so far, it kind of sounds like to me, if you had a big break moment, that would be when you hooked up with Willie Nelson?
Well, my big break, I mean, when I was with Willie, it wasn't much of a break when I first started. I mean, we were just playing, we're just playing around Texas. He hadn't really had any big success, but I was with him when he did Red-Headed Stranger. So that was kind of, a big break for everybody involved, really.
Now, was touring and performing a lot tougher than you had imagined it would be once you guys did start getting bigger, or did you just hit the ground running with that?
No, I loved it. I mean, I was 20 years old, so it was, it was hard being gone a lot, but I didn't have a family, so it was, it was cool.
Now, you have played with like so many different well-known artists from around the world. Did you ever have a moment when someone like asked you to perform or record with them that just like blew your mind, like you couldn't believe, like whoever just asked you to jam with them?
Well, I mean, Willie and I both played with, did some recording with U2, and God, I don't know, Ray Charles. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet.
And then we played Ray Charles's funeral, which was pretty amazing too.
Wow, I didn't even know you did that, man. What an honor to be able to say that you performed it, and one of the greatest musicians of all time performed at his funeral. It had to be a great honor. Going back to the instrument itself, the harmonica, you've been playing it for a long time now. When you're asked to sit in with someone on tour or just a gig, right, and you're not used to playing with them, is everything you do improv in situations like that?
Yeah, it's pretty much improv anyway,
Yeah, man, that's pretty cool that, being a harmonica player, you have the freedom to improv pretty much at will. Have you ever found yourself kind of like falling into a special type of zone, though? Kind of like basketball players when their shot gets hot, or a baseball player on a hit streak. Do you have a certain performance or something like that on YouTube that I can check out for myself when you just was on, you know what I mean? Just different from all the other nights.
Yeah, I mean, that happens when you're just clicking with the music and the artist,
Yeah, I was just asking, like a performance or something like that you might have just remembered or something like, man, I really feel the music tonight or something like that. And
Yeah, a lot. It's just no, I can't say that there's any one that stands out more than the other. I mean, it's what I do, So it's I mean, playing Ray Charles's funeral with him, standing over the coffin. That was pretty spiritual experience.
Yeah, I bet, man, a spiritual experience to say the least. Now I do know you get to play at a lot of cool venues, but being a Star Wars fan, a Chris Stapleton fan, and a fan of Saturday Night Live, I thought it was pretty cool you performed with Chris on SNL with Adam Driver, Kylo Ren as the host. Now I don't know if you're a Star Wars fan, but it had to be pretty cool to perform on SNL, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was. It's great to perform. It was fun to do it with Stapleton, but I did it, with Willie in the '70s, when Belushi was on the show. So,
really, I did not know that.
Yeah, in fact, we would go after the show. We would go to the to this little bar called the Lone Star Cafe, and play with Dan Aykroyd and Belushi, and that's kind of how they started doing their Blues Brothers gig. We were their band.
Really, you were the inspiration to the Blues Brothers.
Pretty much. Well, that's what it said in Danny Aykroyd's book. So,
well, if Danny Aykroyd said it in his book, then it's true. And I can't believe you know him well enough to call him Danny. That's awesome. You know what? I'm looking at your website right now, MickeyRaphael.com, and it looks like you're going to be at the Show Me Center in Cape Girardeau, April 15th. That's like 30 minutes from our area, or from my house anyway. Are you touring right now with Willie? Has that tour started?
No, it won't start till Monday.
So it'll be fresh off the starting block then when you hit Cape Girardeau. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Other than your website, do you do the social media thing?
I do Instagram because I like to post pictures, and I don't want to have to carry on a conversation really with anybody. So I'll post a picture of wherever I am. Yeah, I just don't have the time, and I'm just not that social, I guess. But yeah, so Instagram is under my name.
Well, that's why there's so many different types of social media sites, man. Different strokes for different folks. What about outside of the music scene? How do you enjoy your time? Do you have any hobbies or activities that you get into just to kind of get away from it?
Yeah, I like to road bike. I mean, I have a road bike here, and there's a lot of great biking in Nashville.
Yeah, do you do mountain biking, or is it just strictly road?
I just strictly road.
I thought about getting into to road biking. I used to be heavy into the mountain biking scene, so I rode trails and stuff like that. Anyway, I mean, I understand the pleasure you get out of riding bikes. So, I'm not going to keep you on the phone any longer. I appreciate you doing this for me. Anything you want to say to the listeners out there before we wrap this up?
Well, just come see us, and I'm glad we got listeners.